best that you can do as a parent is embrace where they are, get them the resources that they need, and just, hope and pray that you can help them to be the best child that they can be, because they will still have their achievements. They will still have great things that they do. But it's not really about your opinion. Yeah, it's not about what you want for them. At this point now, you have to adjust your thinking to I have to look at what's going to be the best thing for my child and not necessarily my hope and my dream for my child.
So what is the diagnosis that both of your boys received? Because it's like changed so much. It used to be, autism was very specific, and now
Mhm.
the DSM is just like autism spectrum, and it's so broad it can be anywhere. What exactly did they tell you was the diagnosis for your boys?
For the boys at the time when we did it, which was just a few years ago, we did not have the ranking system. They did not have the ranking system in place. I know they have a number system now, and but both classified as severe. And I think the severity is as it relates to language and communication and all of those. So that kind of puts you in the severity category, but it's autism spectrum disorder, mixed expressive receptive disorder, and global developmental delay. And it's still on the level of them both being ranked as severe.
Okay. So what that means is that they have problems both expressing themselves and with receiving information, as well as is the global functioning, that they have issues maybe with ADLs, their activities of daily living, taking care of
Yes,
on their own.
absolutely. That's you're spot on with it. That's exactly what it is. And so, like my oldest, for example, he's in a functional skills kindergarten class. So that class is going to focus on all of those functional skills. Think about it like putting up your backpack. We take for granted. We can tell our kids, go put your backpack, hang it up on the hanger over there.
Mhm.
Our kids, we have to teach them the routine of when you come in the room, this is what you do. So you're absolutely spot on with that as it relates to the diagnosis.
So, about a week or so ago, I was a guest speaker for TENAD. That's the Tennessee National Association for the Dually Diagnosed. And I don't know if I've ever talked to you about that. So, I used to work with an agency where I was a clinical coordinator for individuals who were intellectually delayed with sexually problematic behaviors. So,
Okay.
I know, like, I'm I'm really PC because of the world that I'm in, right? Mental health. So I'm
Uh-huh.
clear on words, but those individuals having sexually problematic behaviors would have been seen as sex offenders had they been adjudicated, meaning, you know, um, arrested, charged, and all of that. But because of their intellectual delays, then they were not adjudicated.
Okay.
But where I'm going with this is something that came up at the conference was something that I had known about, but I didn't know the words for it. And that's splinter skills. So,
Mhm.
you know, it was so challenging sometimes to explain to staff, like, you have an individual who knows what sex is, but they don't know what sex is.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Right? And they know, they can talk crazy, and I mean, they can talk crazy. They know the language, they know the music, and oh my gosh, one individual, photographic memory. Do not let him see your car. He would memorize your tags, he would memorize a phone number, extremely intelligent with writing and
Mhm.
numbers, but they could not all do ADLs, right? Like, they couldn't remember to make their beds, or how to make their beds, or how to appropriately clean themselves, and the staff would just like be livid sometimes, because the thing that people say when they don't know what splinter skills are is, well, if they smart enough to know this, then they smart enough to know that. And it's like, it's not about their intellect. They can be very, very good in some areas, but not good at all in other areas. Are your boys like what are their what do their splinter skills look like?
Yeah, that's so spot on. So that makes so much sense as it relates to how the boys are specifically. For example, my 4-year-old, when you speak of, for example, he taught himself how to use electronics. Okay, so the iPad, right? I never taught.
Common.
Yes, I never sat down and said, okay, you're going to push this button. And if you want to go to the next screen, you push this button. He literally taught himself how to use the iPad. One day, he just brings it in there and he's like operating it. He taught himself sign language. So he taught himself the ABCs, for example. Um,
Did
he
you say your son taught himself sign language?
Absolutely. He literally looked at a video of sign language, and the videos are age appropriate. I mean, we have the restrictions on there because if we don't, he will. He's advanced, very advanced
Right.
to anything related to academics. So he can read like sight words. We literally have not taught. We discovered that he had these skills because there were things that we never taught him. So we never sat down and said, okay, this is what this is, and so forth. But he would just show up at some point when he turned 3 with these skills that we had never sat down and actually taught him. For example, reading, he has the photographic memory of if he's able to see a video and he can associate it with music, if there are words with music and he can physically see the word as well as hear the word, he has the word in his head. So you don't have to teach him the phonetics, anything. He pretty much knows it. So he can read if he sees the word. So if he's seen the word before, he's going to know it.
Mhm.
Um, the therapist said they did sight words with him the other day, and maybe 50, and he knew like 47 of the sight words. And she was like so overly excited, and I was like, yeah, he kind of knows stuff.
Right, right. And that's
but
even good.
but here's the thing: when you were speaking about being so highly intelligent or understanding some particular things, but when it comes to putting on his shoes, he's like, I'm not sure. Like I sit down with him and I'm teaching him every step of it, but he's not comprehending it effectively. Or if there's something associated with a song, like brushing your teeth, he'll go in and get the toothbrush and start doing it, but does he really understand fully how to get dressed? No.
Mm.
He can absolutely do sign language. We've never taught him. Literally, he's teaching us. We had to learn the ABCs because he was like, listen, this is what I'm doing, and you need to know it. So now when he's doing his ABCs, he's going to do the sign language with it. But as it relates to what we see as a basic skill, it's very challenging. And we're having to do occupational therapy. We're having to do ABA, applied behavioral analysis. We're having speech therapy and he will also echolalia. So he will also repeat anything that you're asking him. But as it relates to that communication part of going back and forth with language, he's not able to give the correct response, but he can say anything that you're asking him to say. So, I'm teaching him like manners and thank you and all that. He can say all of that. But in most cases, he's now just repeating what you're saying to him.
So
In,
he has to be prompted. It's not
right,
a connection in his brain of this is happening, this is when I should say it.
right. So it's like I have to teach the response as well to say, this is your response to this. But exceptional in these other areas. Um, as it relates to my oldest, we haven't noticed at this point anything, but I can tell you one thing he can do. He can run. So we are thinking about signing him up for this track team with believe it's Rhodes College because he's
Mhm.
like fast on his feet. So we have not determined yet, and we're still working through it to figure out what what's his thing, because we know there's something out there. We just have to continue to expose him,
Mhm.
figure out what's his thing where he's going to be exceptional at as well. So we're still, allowing him to explore other, avenues and opportunities as well, because he's exceptional and brilliant in all the things. It's just that sometimes it's Temple Grandin. She's big in the autism community. She's actually autistic. She's a researcher, a scientist for animal research and all of that. And she said that it's about, exposure, and maybe your child is excellent, like you said, in one particular area, but allow them to be excellent in that area. We can't force, we need to stretch, right?
Right.
Stretch them, because you don't want them to not be capable. But at the same time, it's a really good balance between stretching them and really, overstimulating or going too far. So we just try to expose to a certain degree, and then we let up, when we find that this is too much, this is stretching too much. But we do want to expose them and try to help them as much as possible be the best that they can be. So
So having children in general is stressful on a marriage,
mhm.
right? Like we tired and somebody grabbing and pulling on us all the time.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid if you breastfeeding because somebody's grabbing and pulling all the time.
Mhm.
The husband is also grabbing and pulling because like what's going on? Like I'm missing you. Like so
Yes.
two special needs children who need a lot of attention all the time.
Uh-huh.
How you balancing your two babies and your big baby? And did you seek out therapy to deal with all of this, like how to cope and what is
Mhm.
what's happening with all that?
Yes, yes, and yes to all. So here's the thing, like, you cannot do this on your own.
Right.
Encouraging every parent, every special needs parent, try to get in therapy. Like, you need it, because literally, I don't believe that we are made humanly capable of managing all of this well without the supports there, right?
Mhm.
If you think about it, 24 hours a day, you are caring for, the children, and they're not understanding that, okay, it's me time. I try to explain to them, like, okay, mommy needs a break, or dad needs a break, but at the same time they're like, we have needs, it's about us. And so they have not yet gotten to the age where we can really,
Be like, go to your room.
yeah, like,
You're not
listen,
there yet.
there yet. But yeah, so therapy, I'm telling you, Jesus, therapy, and any other thing, within reason, right? It's helpful, because it's a lot to manage. And you talk about marriage, I learned that there's an 85% divorce rate as it relates to families, parents of children with special needs.
Wow.
My mind, like, I was like, surely that can't be the rate, but I'm not worried about that, because we had actually a therapist to come to our home when one of our children was having some tantrums and that kind of thing, due to being just kind of oppressed and stretched a little too far. And we worked it out, and everything's good now. But I remember my husband and I, we were standing in the hallway, and we were probably looking stressed, to be honest with you, tired, exhausted, all the things. And when someone asks you, like, how are you doing, and you're like, we're okay, we're making it, that kind of thing.
That
But
lie.
okay, listen, yeah,
The,
lie.
the polite lie.
Like, yeah, we're good. And it's like, no, you're not good. And then it kind of went to, well, we're exhausted. We're having, like, and she said, yes, caregiver fatigue. Like, you all are literally in go mode all the time, and it being about the kids. And literally, she said, listen, y'all need to get together, come up with a plan. And I had heard this before. Of course I had, like, you need to make time And it was something about her visit, particularly, that really it lit a fire up under me. I was like, that Friday night, we got together and I said, we're having a meeting and this is the plan. So we came up with a plan and now we're in a much honestly, I don't know why that particular meeting was the catalyst to help us to not that we were disconnected, but to reconnect on a level where we started to prioritize again some of the things that were very important to us. And I have like a very loving, caring, like the best husband in the world. But at the same time, no matter who you are as a person, this lifestyle will it will literally exhaust you. No
Yeah.
matter what, right? No matter what your personality is like or no matter how giving or loving or caring you are, you still have a capacity. And when you reach your capacity, it's good to revisit and have those moments where you sit with your thoughts and your feelings and all of that, because you will start to take it out on your partner if you're not careful. Just because you're frustrated, you're tired, and especially if both partners are working and even not, right? So even if you have a partner who's staying at home or what have you, it's tough, it's challenging in all ways. But yeah, I recommend seeing someone individually. And if you see where it's starting to really affect your marriage, to see someone as a couple as well, because it's not an easy journey and it's okay wherever you are because it's not like you asked for this, but it's been placed on your plate. So you have to just portion it out and keep rolling through. But yes, lots of prayer, lots of Jesus, lots of therapy, um, and also just self care, taking care of yourself. If you can get exercise and eating right, like it actually makes you feel better when you eat
Right.
right, right? If you
That's
have
that concept of food being fuel. That's what it
absolutely,
means, right?
absolutely, because and then when you are doing stuff that's negative as it relates to putting things in your body that you shouldn't have in your body, it's only going to make it worse because
Right.
you still have that same responsibility when you wake up. It's the same thing every single day. So you just have to be mindful of that as well.
Okay, so your initiative has a function coming up on September the 3rd. Can
Mhm.
you give us some information about that? Tell me about the function
Okay.
and share how people can reach you for the function and ongoing to maybe get contacts for community supports and other things.
Sure, sure, sure. So, All Aboard for Autism Initiative, our first kickoff or the kickoff will actually be on September the 3rd, and it will be from 10 to noon. We're inviting parents to come out. It's really about building a sense of community and support. You may or may not have like supports in place as it relates to your family, your friends, things like that, but what I want to build is a sense of community support where you can reach out to someone else that you met at the support group and say, how are you doing? And for you to know that you're not alone. And that autism is now a normal part of life. I mean, neurodiversity is a normal part of life everywhere. So I just want to embrace parents and just say, hey, this is normal. Yes, it doesn't appear to be normal, but you're not alone. And so there for the kickoff, what we're doing is we're focusing on mental health. So speaking of mental health, I wanted to start right there. So we're going to have a mental health panel there to encourage and just answer some questions, just like we're talking now, just to answer some questions for the parents who are present. And to also offer if they have services that they can offer as well for the parents to be able to get therapy services and thus far. So I'm excited about it because I literally want parents just to get there. I'm like, if you just come, and that's parents, grandparents, if you're a caregiver of a young person with autism, and I'm focusing on early intervention. So really ages 2 to 7, but of course, we're not going to exclude anyone who may need some support who said, I just want to come and have a sense of community with other
Right.
like-minded individuals. But the focus will be on those who have just received their diagnosis, for parents who have just received the diagnosis for the child, as well as those who are on their way. And it's really important to me because I'm right in the middle of it. So it's like I'm in the thick of it right now of, uh, designating what schools and what interventions and all of these things. So it's so clear in my mind of how I can help and how I can be of support to these parents, that I'm just super excited about it. And I want them just to come. I'm like, don't feel like,
Put it out there. We just need them to come and just hear it, right?
just show up, just show up. And you never know what you're going to get if you just show up. They can reach out to me. I have a blog. It's called the Perfect Chaos blog.com.
theperfectchaosblog.com.
Yes. And
Okay.
that's the blog. They can go on there if they're interested in signing up. There is a form at the bottom of the front page, the home page, where they can just put their names and say, I'm interested in the support group. Also, they can reach out to me by email. My email is kind of different, but it's mlflemng@gmail.com. Yes, it's
ML Fleming.
yes, but without the I. Yeah. So
Don't say you make your email so complicated. Don't we listen. If you listening to this, we're gonna put it at the bottom there because ain't no way we gonna remember that. You don't want nobody to email you.
listen, we're just,
Your life is so complicated that you had to make the email complicated too. I get it.
see, it's all in sync, right?
I got you. Listen, thank you so very much for taking the time to chat with me. And we are going to get your information out there. What you're doing is awesome. It's amazing. I know that there are parents that are caregivers, but not just parents, like you said, just
Mhm.
caregivers in general of individuals who have autism, and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to reach out to. So having you as a constant or a contact that's out there that they can reach will be awesome. So thank you again. This is Monica.
Sure. And yeah, just go on the blog if you can't remember well, we'll put the information.
We'll put it down there.
Or they can call me. I mean, my number is easy, like, so we can put all the information down there. But for the most part, the flyer, and I know you've shared the flyer, I believe.
Yes, and we will be sharing it again. And yeah.
Yeah, so the flyer's out there. And of course, I'm just excited and I hope that. And also, I just want to reiterate that it won't be all about mental health from here on out. We'll have two locations. One is Knowledge Quest, which is across from Lemoyne on College.
Mhm.
The other location is the Benjamin Hooks Library. So we'll have at least 2 meetings a month, one at each location.
Mhm.
It will be about different things. So mental health is just the kickoff, and then we'll go into the resources, schools, information, other things like that.
All righty. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.